Guys, it is going down this weekend at UFC 292 as Sterling defends his belt against Sugar Sean O'Malley. And my partners at DraftKings are offering an incredible deal for all new customers who sign up using my promo code Sonnen. New customers can bet just $5 on any of this weekend's fights and receive $150 in bonus bets instantly. You can even use your bonus bets on DraftKings same fight parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same fight, including number of rounds and method of victory. Remember, DraftKings is the only place where you can bet same fight parlays. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. So click on the link below and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Weidman versus Tavares. It's going down this Saturday. And by the way, you guys might not have known that. This is Chris Weidman's first time since 2012 not being a feature match. Now, I like that. There has been such immense pressure put on Chris Weidman from before he ever started fighting. Like his teammates in the practice room started spreading these rumors and people are hearing about Chris Weidman out in New York and this All-American wrestler. Like the word was getting around. And he had a lot put on him, and it was pretty fast in his career. People were talking about him versus Anderson. He gets thrown into a main event on a Wednesday night with Mark Munoz. I mean, just like there was a lot put on him. Once he beats Anderson, he's asked to go out and prove it again. Draws right into world champions like Vitor, right into world champions like Machida. I mean, there was no favors done for Chris Weidman. So, but this fight's different, right? So he's taking on Brad Tavares, who's a stud. Brad Tavares is the definition of heart, right? Just a tough guy. And Tavares likely has a real motivation right now. Just being a Hawaiian, he likely has a real motivation with some of the devastation that's going on in his state. That's a guess by me. But I think it's a pretty good guess. And then you've got Weidman. And this isn't about a contendership. This isn't about a world championship. And I don't know for sure that Weidman plans to do 5 more fights. Like to lay out a realistic roadmap to the title, you'd probably need 5 fights. Right, you're on the undercard right there. You got to start to work your way back up onto the main card. It's something that he's already done, and it took him about 5 fights. Okay, great. But I'm not sure that we're doing that here. I'm not sure that this is a goldfish trying to eat a shark, and it's going to take a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of bites. I feel as though 1 minute at a time. It's 1 round at a time. It's scheduled for 3 rounds, which is a small ask of Weidman, for what's majority of his career was like. I'm just bringing this to you because there is an injury. He's coming back from an injury. This is something very personal. He is on his own journey right now. This is not about rankings and headlines and selling tickets and I'm an East Coast star and the card's on the East Coast. It's not about any of those things. They're not using the local guy to bring it there. That's not what this is. This is a champion who had a career-ending injury and has too much courage and heart and toughness to let it end his career. That's what this is. And there's a lot of questions. I can only imagine, right? I've never been through that. I could only imagine if I went through one of those breaks. I believe now you got pins and rods or something to this effect. I could only imagine what I would do. And I think that I would stash it. I think I would stash that leg. I would hide it. I'd put it behind. I'd get to a clinch real fast and just take all kicks out. I mean, offensively for myself, but also defensively so he can't kick at me. I think I would stash it. I would hide the leg in some fashion. It would be of paramount importance to me, I think. And Weidman came out and said he's going to go out and use it. He's going to throw the hardest kick of his life right off the bat. It's the first thing that he's going to do. Oh, and by the way, that wasn't like some kind of weird strategy to get in Brad's head. He means it. It doesn't mean that he's going to go out and do it, by the way. I mean, you have all sorts of, I'm going to go out and win. I'm going to put him away in the first round. Like, you have all sorts of ideas. They don't all come through, but it's the mindset of Chris Weidman. So you got a former champion, 39 years old, taking on a young stud, return fight after an injury. I mean, this is a situation you've never seen him in. DraftKings has him at a 2-1 dog. That's close. 2-1 means we're not sure, just so you understand. And of every situation we've seen Weidman put in, which is countlessly difficult situations. I mean, he was a guy when USADA stepped in. We had certain champions when USADA came in that never won another fight. Champions of the world, they never won another fight and got released when USADA came in. You had the incredible shrinking man throughout the UFC, right? You got 55 pounders become 45 pounders, and 35 pounders that are now 25 pounders. Like, it was one of these situations, and Weidman had to deal with it within opponents. That's a massive stress. It is an advantage. It is a performance enhancer. And to deal with these things, like, he's found himself in colossally hard spots. He's a young boy taking on the ultimate veteran in Anderson Silva. I mean, right, like, he's found himself in some really colossally difficult spots. He's going into the 4th round against Luke Rockhold, and he's used most of his energy in the 3rd. Like, it's just, there's really hard positions that he's found himself in throughout his life, but he's never been in this one. And I felt as though DraftKings almost gave him a credit for the heart and the toughness. And that's largely what these fights come down to. I know it looks on TV, or you listen to the announcers, I know it looks like a strategy, and he dipped outside, this guy's a southpaw, and he went to the body, then he came upstairs. I understand that, but that's because there's really no way to articulate the intangibles that actually make the difference in a competitive athletic contest, which is the heart and the grit and the toughness, which is being displayed by a 39-year-old former world champion who's willing to go on an undercard, didn't care who the opponent was, and says he's going to come out and use the broken leg right off the bat. I think DraftKings acknowledges it and said, we don't know what to do with this guy. DraftKings had him 2.5-1 underdog against Anderson Silva the night he captured the world championship. By the way, it was dominant. 7.5-minute fight, it was dominant. The ending 2 seconds looked a little on camera. Oh, maybe he put his hands down, talking about Anderson. They forgot he won the entire, it was completely done. They rematched the fight. Guess who the underdog is? Weidman. Guess how much at DraftKings? 2.5-1. It was a repeat. It was the same two guys doing the exact same thing that they'd already done, and he had completely dominated. They still had him as a 2.5-1 dog, and I just believe that they found out what heart and what grit and what toughness is about. And I think in a normal circumstance, you would look at a guy and you would say, he's been hurt, he's damaged. Generally speaking, you would use that against him. DraftKings is saying we don't see it that way. We see a guy who's a proven commodity who says he can use that leg to the extent that he can use it as the very first tool. And I think that they listened. Weidman and Tavares, I mean, regardless of who you have and regardless who comes out on top, I just want to set the stage for you. This is not, and they are not fighting, at least from Chris's standpoint. Can't say that for Brad. But for the reasons that he's fought before. This is personal, and this is about something else. And I believe DraftKings 2-1 helps to represent that.